Welcome back, everybody, to Legacy United, a Righteous Project Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Billy Wayne, here with Vanisha Lockett Brown, Dr. Vanisha Lockett Brown, with her PhD and MPH as well, and very special guest today. So I'm so happy that you made it today. Say hello to our guest real quick.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
So thank you so much. I know, I just talked about this, but I appreciate you taking the time to join us today to share your story. And basically what we do here is we share success stories, things that you had to go through, obstacles that you had to overcome to get to where you are today, right? So that's what it's all about, is sharing that information, share those stories with people that can relate to you, so, there might be somebody that is in the same situation or looking to do things that you have accomplished and just want to hear it, for somebody that they, that they feel like they know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to toss it your way. I'm going to have you start from the beginning. So go ahead and share with us your story.
All right. So again, thank you, Mr. Billy Wayne, for having me on your episode this evening or whenever this will be broadcasted. It is truly a pleasure and an honor and a pleasure to be here with you virtually, just to talk about my life. And it's especially an honor, and I might get emotional because you're saying success story, because I never really think about it like that. I just feel like, I've been blessed to be here on this earth, to share my gifts with those around me, my family, my students, anyone who comes into contact with me. And so thank you again for that. I really appreciate that compliment. So let's talk about Dr. Vanisha Lockett Brown. Let's talk about it. And as you noticed, I have two last names because we're going to dive into that tonight as well. No, I'm not married, but I have two last names.
Okay.
And I'll tell a funny story about my life. But again, I am Dr. Vanisha Lockett Brown, hailing from Belle Glade, Florida. Where is that? It is a small city located about 35 miles west of West Palm Beach, Florida. We are known for our agriculture. So we are an agricultural city, as well as we have a lot of athletes. A lot of pro athletes have been born and raised here in Belle Glade, Florida, also known as Muck City. So special shout out to my Muck City family. So I was born and raised in Belle Glade. And going back, we are known for agriculture, specifically sugar cane. Much of the sugar that's produced and that we actually buy in the stores is actually produced right here in Belle Glade, Florida, and the surrounding areas around Lake Okeechobee. And if you want to know where that is, if you look at the state of Florida on a map, there's a little circle there at the bottom, a large circle. That's Lake Okeechobee. And our communities are around the lake. So a little bit of a geography lesson. Excuse me.
No, that's good to know.
Born and raised here. And the house that I'm in right now was the house that I came home. When I came home from the hospital back in the 70s, I landed right here, and I've been here since that day. Now, I've moved around a lot, but home is here.
Wow.
So I'm happy that our house is still standing. We still have the same phone number that we had since I've been in the first grade.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yep.
But we'll dive deeper into that.
That's what's up. Yeah.
More about me. My parents, the late Mr. and Mrs. Vance and Takeda Lockett Brown. Now, interesting story, they were teenage parents. My mom was 15 years old when she had me, and my dad was 17, fresh out of high school and ready to see the world. But oops, had something else in store. And it was very interesting. And I tell this story to people because I was born, and I'm proud of it. I'm 46 years old. Excuse me, allergies. I'm 46 years old. So I was born in 1977, and in the 70s, to be a teenage mom was very interesting. Back then, my mom's high school, the pregnant moms were separated from everybody else. So pregnant moms couldn't just walk around campus or eat lunch, you know, so it was real discriminatory, right? Because I guess they felt like if you saw pregnant women walking around the school, maybe you'll get pregnant also. I guess that was the philosophy. But here's another interesting point.
Right.
My father was the pastor of my church. He was the pastor's son. So can you imagine being a teenage mom who's pregnant from the pastor's son, whose stepmom is also a teacher at your high school? So it was like, whoa, what's going on, right?
Wow. Yeah.
We had a lot going on. So at any rate, my parents, high schoolers, my dad going off to find himself because, you know, being 17 and a dad was just not, you know, on his resume at the time. But it's very interesting because my other set of grandparents, they were the pastor and the co-pastor of my church. And then you had my maternal grandparents, who I primarily grew up with and who primarily raised me, who were here, but they became really good friends because at this point, maybe some years before that, my grandparents started attending that church. But that's not really where my parents met. They met in high school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they started going to this church.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, you know, my grandma, my granddad, they were just like, yo, like, you're what? Because my mom hid it. And she was an excellent swimmer. And one occasion she was taking her lifeguard exam. And she was in the pool and she threw up all over the pool. And they're like, what is going on?
Oh, man.
Threw up because she was pregnant.
Dang.
So,
yeah.
There you go. So at any rate, they became friends, and my grandmother was she was frustrated because she didn't know how to navigate this unique situation. I have a teenager who is pregnant.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is my grandmother was a teenager who was pregnant. She had her first child at 16 from my grandfather, who was like 2 years older. They were married. They got married when she was 16. He was 18. So it's like, oh, okay, here we go. Right. So she didn't know how to navigate that situation. Abortion was not an option. I come from a very religious family. So that wasn't an option. So she went to my other grandmother, who was the co-pastor of my church, and she was just like, I don't know what to do. You know, she's pregnant. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. What am I gonna do? Right. And so my grandmother, they sat, they prayed, and she was like, we're not going to do anything. We're going to support her. We're going to make sure that she has everything that she needs to ensure a healthy pregnancy, and that this child knows that she's loved and that she has a village, right? And so my grandmother said immediately she got up, and, you know, my mom was doing a lot of, you know, things that 15-year-olds did, right? She was snacking, junk food, sleeping. She was just doing her thing. I mean, she was in the band. She was a drummer. So my grandmother got up. You know, she's like, hey, we're going to eat breakfast. We're going to eat lunch. We're going to eat dinner. We're going to throw away all these potato chips. You know, you're going to do what you need to do to have a successful pregnancy. And so that's what she did. My grandmothers ended up becoming, both grandparents, both sets ended up becoming very, very good friends. My mom was, you know, she was an honor roll student. She was successful academically, and she wanted to go to college. And she did tell my grandmother, you know, hey, I still want to go to school. I still want to do the things that high schoolers do, but I know I have this child. And my grandparents stepped in, both sets, and said, hey, if you're going to do what you need to do, we will support you. We will, you know, we will keep the baby and allow you and Vance to further your education. I'm so happy that they did. My parents are both graduates of the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, also called FAMU, located in Tallahassee, Florida. So They went off to college.
All right, nice.
I stayed here. I would go back and forth with them. It was kind of interesting because I had like two moms. You got grandma who was young. Remember, my grandma was only like 35, right? When I was born, you got grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
The custodial parents. I don't know what you call it, right? They were the main parents. Parents in college. Parents come home from college, asserting their authority. So me as a kid, I'm like, I don't know who to listen to, right? But I knew that I was loved.
Yeah,
my parents were very hardworking. My mom always kept a job. I never went without. I could go on. Yes, I was a WIC baby. I was definitely stereotypical. No, I was a WIC baby, but my mom worked. She had, even though she was in college, all of my outfits were ordered from the Sears catalog, right? I know I'm aging myself. And so they were laid out, my hair would be braided when she came home, boom, hairdo when she came back. So, my mom, she was embarrassed by that. Growing up, she never really wanted to talk about the age gap. It really wasn't an age gap, right? The 15-year age difference between us. And I was like, well, Ma, you know what? I made it happen. What's up? Like, I think I turned out okay. Don't tell anybody, especially when I turned 30. Didn't want anybody to know because she was just 45. And I'm like, girl, who cares? So,
okay.
That's one part of the story. Yeah. Then circling back to my maternal grandfather, who I grew up in the house with, he also graduated from Florida A&M University. His story was interesting because his father was a part of the agriculture industry in the area, and he was like a boss. But he wasn't college educated or anything like that. But what he told, he had 3 children, 3 biological children that all graduated from Florida A&M. But at the time when my grandfather went to college, he already had a wife, and he had 2 kids, a 3rd one on the way, and had the 4th one while he was a student.
Right.
And that was a lot, right? Oof. And so he wanted to quit. He was like, man, I got a wife and I got to do all of this, and kids are expensive. Yeah. And like, I don't want to go to school anymore. I could just work for you. And my great grandfather, Mr. Tom Lockett, told him this. He was like, you know what? That's cool. You want to come back and you want to work out here in the field and you want to do this kind of stuff because you think that I'm making a lot of money, but I'm not. And he was like, but let me tell you something. If you don't go back to school, this is your life. You want to be more. My granddad was like a math whiz. Yeah. He could just do it here. He hated when we counted on our fingers. He's like, do it in your head.
Nice.
And so he was like, this will be your life. So either you go back and you tough it out and you don't quit, you don't give up, or you're back out here, picking cucumbers, grabbing corn, driving trucks, right? For this whole agricultural business. So he had to make a choice, and he was like, you know what?
Yep.
You know what? Maybe I'll go back to school. So he went back to school and finished. He finished college in 3 years.
Good.
So he went back. He finished.
Nice, awesome.
Undergrad in 3 years while having another kid, because my Uncle Thomas was actually born at the University Hospital at Florida A&M. Had another kid and, came back.
Oh, wow.
And he was a physical education teacher as well as a math teacher for over 35 years. He ended up getting 2 degrees, got a master's degree in education.
Wow, all right.
But he instilled in us, that hard work and never giving up. He instilled that in my mom, her siblings, and me, because he didn't believe in like lying around and not doing anything. He gave us 2 rules: either you work or you in school. But you're not gonna just lay up in the house and like do nothing.
Right.
He was like, no way. And then we'd be like, Dad, we can't do this. And he'd tell us, I graduated in 3 years. So what's your excuse? God dang it. You can't win, right? You can't win that argument. So
Yep.
I'm very appreciative of those life lessons, you know, through him and my other grandfather who had a similar path. He went to college for a little bit, but that wasn't his calling. The ministry was his calling eventually. But he married an educator, so you know. And then circling back to my parents, they graduated from Florida A&M. They graduated at the same time, and then they got married, and that was hilarious. They got married in 1986, so shortly after college. And then, so I was born Vanisha Lockett because that is my mother's maiden name. And teenage parents, y'all know how that goes, right? Sometimes daddy is there to sign, sometimes he's not. We're not judging. And this particular instance, he wasn't. So I went through life, the first 8 years of my life, as VL Vanisha Lockett. And then eventually, before they got married, I had an amended, you know, birth certificate my dad signed, and then my name was changed to Lockett Brown. They didn't. The judge didn't drop it. He just added to it. So that's why I go by VL Brown. That's the
added on to
what you see on Facebook, right?
Nice.
So yeah, they got married. I lived with them for a little while, and then eventually I came back home because my parents were young parents, and I just felt like I felt more at home at grandparents' house. And it wasn't about being spoiled, or it wasn't about any of that, the typical, you know, going to grandparents' house. It's the structure. Like, I'm a very structured person, and my grandparents had a little bit of time to figure it out. My parents were figuring it out. Like, they had been dating off and on since they were 14, but now they were living in the same house and married. And I felt like they needed to get to know each other a little bit better. So I was back and forth.
Right, I hear you. Okay.
And so, you know, that was, you know, the beginning. I eventually graduated from Glade Central Community High School. I graduated number 2 in my class. I then attended Florida A&M University, majoring in health education with the specialization in exercise science. Didn't quite know what I wanted to do with that degree. I just knew that I liked it. I was accepted into our Master of Public Health program at FAMU. Got a scholarship. Did my 2 years, earned a Master of Public Health in Epidemiology, which is the study of the determinants and the distributions of disease and how it affects human populations. So did that, and then didn't quite know what I wanted to do.
Well, thanks for explaining that, because
because some people ask me, "Oh, is that the skin?" And I'm like, "Nope, not yet." But think more of epidemics. So I did that, and then didn't quite know what I wanted to do with my life, you know, because I was just out here. I was making a little money, thought I was making big money, but it was little money. Was working like 3 jobs. I worked at TJ Maxx throughout college, undergrad, grad, and then on the side, because I don't even know if it was about making money or making money in there that I could spend in store. I just really loved the job and the people and the engagement. So kind of kept that up, but didn't quite know. And my mentor stayed on me, and his name is Dr. Brown. And he stayed. He's like, "Brown, you need to go back to school." Why? I'm balling out here, you know. I got a 3-bedroom townhouse. We were paying like $9.90 a month, split 3 ways, right? So we just, you know, we were living, right?
Nice.
In a college town. It's a college town, though, right? So living in this college town, had a significant other. I was going to visit him, so I could do everything I wanted to do. But I mean, I wasn't really making money. It was just, I didn't have to spend that much because it didn't cost that much to live there. Anyway, he's like, "You need to be in school." I was like, just give me a while. He's like, "So what are you going to be doing anyway? What are you going to be doing?" I said, "It's going to take 5 years. It's going to take 5 years of my life." What do you mean? He was like, "Well, 5 years are going to go by anyway. Are you married?" "No." "You got kids?" "No." "So what's up?" I was like, man, later. So I worked for the institution for 2 years, the program that I graduated from, the Institute of Public Health. I worked there for 2 years. as a research assistant and research coordinator on several projects. And, after about a year and a half, I sat there and I was like, you know what? I am doing all of the work and getting this much of the credit. Something has to shake.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, at that moment, I got myself together and I was like, I'm going to apply to graduate school. I knew that I was gifted enough. I knew that I had, the skills necessary. I don't think that I was mature enough at that
Mm-hmm.
moment to be in someone's doctoral program. I just didn't feel like it either.
Gotcha.
Like I went 5 years of undergrad because it took me a little longer because I had to pay for it. In the beginning until I got a scholarship, long story. And then I graduated August 4th of 2000, and then I was back in school like August 14th, 2000, right? So I never had a break.
Wow.
So I was honestly just tired. I didn't want to learn anything else. I wanted, I loved my job. So I was working, I was getting, acquiring knowledge, from a professional standpoint, and applying all the things that I had learned along the way.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to go back right now. I don't feel like it. That was my attitude. But then I got a reality check, because sometimes, we tell students, because sometimes college isn't for everybody. Graduate school isn't for everybody. Doctoral programs, they're not for everybody. But sometimes just having that paper, that piece of paper, that degree, 1, 2, and 3 is a foot in the door. And so at that point, I was making, big money, right? But I had to have 3 jobs to supplement the life that I wanted to live at that moment. And then I was doing a lot of the work, getting this much credit, and all the PhDs were like, oh, their names are like this. My name is like this. See, like 14-point font, 8-point font, right?
Right.
And I was like, I want better, because I felt like I was a star in my own right? So I got to do something different. So what did I do?
Right.
Boom. I applied to graduate school. I got accepted into 2 of the 4 schools that I applied to, because their applications are expensive.
Yeah.
Application fees are not cheap even then. And I earned a full scholarship to the University of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's Graduate School of Public Health, where I earned a PhD in epidemiology, specifically focusing on chronic disease epidemiology. So, I got there, and it was somewhat of a culture shock, because I grew up in South Florida. I went to school in North Florida. I have been at an HBCU all my life, because think about it. My parents went to FAMU when I was a kid, so I spent time there. And that's all that's what I knew. But I had a mom who was an educator, who was big on exposure. And so although I was born and raised, tried and true, from a small agricultural city, I never felt like I was from a small agricultural city. My mom, I would be at engineering camp knowing darn well that I did not want to be an engineer, but I got that exposure, right? I'd be, at different colleges and institutions across the country. When I was 16, I think, I earned an internship through NASA, the NASA Sharp Plus program, which was a program that highlighted diverse learners from across the country. And they put us together for this, immersive experience into healthcare occupations. Well, really STEM. STEM, we weren't calling it STEM back then, but if you push forward to current time, it was STEM. So all of us were either interested in one of the sciences, mathematics, engineering, all of the above, right? Healthcare professions. So they put us all together
Okay.
And
Yep.
my group, my cohort, that we were sent all across the country, but my cohort, we were all sent to San Francisco State University. So if you can imagine me, small city
Wow.
girl,
Okay.
first flight ever was
Yeah.
from
Right.
West Palm Beach, Florida to San Francisco,
Okay.
where I did an internship for about
Yeah.
4 months and
Wow. Wow.
exposure, right? And so my internship was
Wow.
at
Okay.
the
Yep.
City and County of San Francisco's Department of Parking and Traffic. And what I find out later on is that the research that we were doing
Wow.
was a precursor to the lights, the cameras. What do you call them? The traffic cameras that
Really?
are
What?
everywhere. So we would
Yeah.
go
Okay.
out
Yeah.
every day. My
Yep.
partner and I would go out and we would monitor heavily trafficked intersections. And so those bumps that you feel on the road sometimes are actually
Yeah.
connected to our cars, our
Yep.
computers that are in our cars. And we did all the research, did all the numbers,
Ah,
then
see. Yeah.
collected all of that data.
Mm-hmm.
That would eventually be the data that was used to create these traffic cams. I don't know if that's great. You know, some people are like, boo.
Wow.
But I was 16.
Yeah.
I'm saying all of this to say,
Right.
if it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
for, I come from a family of
Yeah.
educators. My mom was an educator, my father, my grandfather, my other grandmother, my dad's biological mom. And so for me, even coming from this small agricultural city, you know, where they only know you if you play
Mm-hmm.
sports, right? Because we've had, you know, NFL players left and right come through here, collegiate athletes,
Right. Yeah.
and sometimes academic, you know, the light isn't shined so much. But I'm a living witness that
Yeah.
there's
Right.
much more to Muck City than
Yep.
playing sports. And I'm not knocking it because that's great, right? Because the sports might help you
Right.
feed your
Right.
family, but, you know, me teaching is
Yep.
helping me feed my family, right? So no shade, because a
Right.
lot of
Yep.
them are my
Exactly.
friends.
Right.
So I don't want that to be misconstrued, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, you
Of
know,
course. Yep. Yep.
this young lady from this small town, you know, was able to go to California, go to San Francisco at 16, and, you know, go toe to toe with students who were the cream of the crop at their respective high schools. And we had, you know,
Right.
people from who were Yupik
Yep.
Eskimos, who were Native Americans, who came from reservations. It was a
Wow.
very
Yeah.
diverse group.
Yep.
Some
Right.
what was
Right.
it? Native African students who were
Mm-hmm.
living in the United States. So very diverse, very smart, very intelligent group of people. And I'm saying all that to say, you know, sometimes we get imposter syndrome, like we don't feel like we belong, but they put us together not only
Yeah.
because to
Mm-hmm.
shed light on our academic endeavors, but to actually expose us to different things, right? That some of
Yeah.
us may have
Yep.
never experienced if we didn't take that leap and leave our folks for 4 months. But again, my
Yeah.
parents
Right.
were big believers in exposure to everything, right? And the fact that you're not defined by the place of your birth, right? That you can be anything that you want to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
You don't have to make excuses or anything. Just do it. You know, if you work hard, you know, I tell my
Yep.
students, you know, everything that you do, right, good or bad, you know, there's a consequence, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we do good things, think good things should happen. And
Right.
if we like showing our, you know,
Right.
behinds, then that might have a bad consequence, right? Even my little nephew. So
Mm-hmm.
just that encouragement from them, I think really prepared me for what was to come next at the University of Pittsburgh. Again, small city, college
Yeah.
town, then boom, I'm in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Right.
Okay, here we go. In
Yeah.
Pittsburgh,
Right.
you're either
Yep.
two things.
Exactly.
You're white or you're black. That's it. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ethnicity, all of that, you
Right.
didn't really find that. You're either white or you're black.
Yeah.
And really the black middle
Wow. Yeah.
class
Right.
It was really comprised of the graduate students, because there are a lot of universities in Pittsburgh. And so we would all hang out, but like,
Yeah.
a lot of people in Pittsburgh, since the steel industry left, had careers and had jobs and not necessarily careers. So this was like really different, right? It was really different being in this setting. And I was here for 5 years. But in true V Brown fashion, I created a network, and that network, we're still close now. Like, we call ourselves the Pit Crew, because not only were we like classmates, but we became friends and then family, so some of us saw each other at a conference. We got to take a picture, we stay in contact. Thank God for Facebook for that reason, because some things we might not know. But when I got to Pitt, sometimes, you're feeling like I don't belong here, because one, I'm Black. I'm at this PWI, predominantly white institution. I am majoring in epidemiology. What in the world is that? And I am one of about 4 Black students. Was it 4 of us in the program at that time? And so if I had not had that strong village, that strong network, supporting me from afar, and just the things that were instilled in me early, then I don't think that I would be successful. Because some people say, hey, was PhD hard?
I hear you.
Sometimes the classes were hard, but I felt like I was adequately prepared. I felt like Florida A&M gave me the foundation that when I got to University of Pittsburgh, I was okay. It was new. It's a doctoral program. It's not meant to be easy, but I felt like I was prepared to take on this challenge. But then you gotta dig here, because it's not easy, and it's not even about the academic stuff. It's about the subtle racism that you experience, right? Black girl, PWI, epidemiology. You're not supposed to be here, but taking that on and saying, yes, I am. Having professors tell you that, oh, you're a horrible writer. Your writing is so unfocused. Oh, you're the worst. And you're like, oh, okay. And, letting that resonate for a little while, right? Until you think about it. Am I though? Am I that? Or is it you?
Right.
And maybe,
I hear you.
And learning those self-advocacy skills, like maybe we're not a good match. So maybe I need a new advisor who's going to pour into me and actually be an advisor and not a foe. So, but learning those lessons. So going to the doctoral program, it wasn't necessarily about, going to class and dealing with that. It was about growing up and becoming like really an adult in a strange world, and being able to successfully advocate for myself and the things that I needed to successfully navigate this new academic pursuit. That's what I would say. And, I'm thankful to my parents, my grandparents, all of them, because I quit school, Mr. Billy Wayne, like 3 or 4 times in my head. And I can remember my mom saying,
oh, wow,
all right, go ahead and quit. You can quit. You can always come home. Home is always going to be here, and home is always available. But let me ask you this, V Brown. That's what she would say. Let me ask you this. Will you have any regrets? You could walk away right now. Be good. Okay? Come home. Oop, love you. All right. But will you have any regrets? And if you think that you might have a regret, maybe quitting school isn't a viable option. And I was like, you know what? She got a point. I don't know. But I'm going to quit school for this weekend, right? I'm going to come home for about a week. Not a weekend, for about a week. I'm going to quit. And then, I'll see. Okay? That's how it's going. And so eventually, I went back. I went back, finished up in 2010, and came home again with my grandparents. Didn't have a job, didn't have money, was just out here applying for jobs at the time. And as as it happened, I ended up getting my first job that I did not want, because I thought to be a professor meant you had to be old.
Mm-hmm.
Getting my first job at Meharry Medical College, where I am still there today. I left for about 2 years, 8 months, but in total, I've been there about 13 years. Got my first job as an assistant professor teaching the epidemiology and data management courses. And, you know, it's just, as the kids would say, it's been up from there, right? I did take a 2-year hiatus where I was the director of the McNair Scholars Program at FIU. It was a blessing to be able to come back to Florida during that time, because that was right around COVID 2020. I came home and I ended up applying for that job that summer. I started in October of 2020. And unfortunately, you know, around that time, June of 2021, my mom passed away from colorectal cancer. Colonoscopies, people 45 and up.
I remember that.
She passed away, and unfortunately, my dad passed away 8 months after my mom. So past 2 years were very interesting. It's all a blur, right? But I'm thankful that I did have the opportunity to come back home to spend a year and a half with my mom and 2 years with my dad. And then, you know, reconnecting, you know, my grandmother and my sister, her family, my other sister, my other grandma, first cousin. So really that's been my story. I came back to Meharry this fall. So I started back in August in Nashville, but you know, I am able, my schedule is flexible enough that I can kind of go back and forth between Nashville and Belle Glade. And really, that's my story in a nutshell. You know, do a lot of fun things. Yeah. I'm not just the traditional professor that's wearing the little glasses.
Right? Yeah. No, I think it's amazing. A lot of good stuff in there, and you said it right away off top. You know, you go through it, and it's kind of natural to you. The progression for yourself is natural, so you don't see it as that, you know, that success story, you know. But to others, it's like some people want to quit and then they never go back and continue to do what they were doing before. But others, you know, like yourself, just takes a little break, a little reflection, and then you really decide on, is that the path that you really want to take, and you pursue it and you continue to do it as well. And it's that mindset that separates people from being able to get through the things that they're going through, or get to a point or accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish, versus people that always say, what if, you know. And I think that's really the biggest gap. And you explained it before as well. It's just having that extra energy or extra motivation just to push through it, because that's really where it is just motivate yourself and figure out what you want to do and get through it. So I think it's really good story, you know, for others to hear, big time. So
thank you.
and that's somewhere I'm trying to strive to be as well. You know, I finished on my bachelor's degree, and you know, at this point, I feel like I don't have the time, but eventually I'll get back around to it as well. But I think it's really that factor on finding that time and just motivation to push through it. So, but another thing I want to touch base on is when you're talking about your grandfather, reminded me of my pops. You know, he was the same way. After I graduated high school, it was work or go to school. But it wasn't just work or go to school. It was like, okay, now I'm going to school and I'm working. Okay, well, what else are you doing? Okay, well, let me try to get another job then. You know, okay, well, cool. You know, you got 2 jobs and you're working. What else are you doing? So it's always, you know, don't settle where you're at. You know, just keep pushing yourself further and further. And that really got me from working 2 jobs that working 80 hours a week, for working 2 jobs, to just working 1 job that gives me equal amount of pay for just 40 hours a week, you know, just trying to elevate myself to that next level, you know. So I think that's where I got my motivation from, but it reminds me of what you're saying about your grandfather too. So, but yeah, that was important. Big time.
My mom was the same way though.
So
Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, you're
No,
good. You're good.
my mom, her one thing that she would say, especially to my younger cousins coming up, because I'm the oldest child and I'm the oldest grandchild, so a lot of pressure there, right? The next person after me is actually like 12
Yep.
years younger, and then my sister, who's about a month younger than her. So I had a lot of time with them on my own, a lot of one-on-one time. But my mom, her number one question to any young person, she's like, "Oh, I guess you eating steaks and potatoes, huh? Because you don't seem hungry enough." And you can take that exactly,
Right.
you know what I mean? It was a
I
metaphor.
like
And
that.
she was like, because it looks like you're not eating ramen noodles. It's like
Yep.
you eating filet mignon. Because if you ain't hungry, then,
Mm-hmm.
then what's up? Right? And so she would always tell me that, like, stay hungry.
Yep.
You got it. But
Right.
stay hungry.
Right.
Which told me, never be complacent.
Right.
You could have a good job today and not have that same good job tomorrow. But if you're consistent in everything that
True.
you do, and you continuously work hard, you know what I mean? All of that, it pays off in the long run. So she would tell me, like, I could ace an interview. Like, I could just, like, ooh, I got it. It's my job, And then she would hit me with, but can you take a no? Can you take a no? And I'm like, what do you mean? Can I take a no? What if they tell you no? Does the world end? Or do you keep pressing? And I'd say, you know what? I can take a no. Because if it's not for me, then all right. But guess what? You know what? I prepared for this job. I've done everything. Like, I've done above and beyond, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, I feel like it's my job to lose. And they're going to regret not hiring me. Not the other way around. I said, but if it's not meant for me to have, then I won't. But again, I think it's my job. I think it's my job to lose. So, take a no, but I don't think I'm going to get a no. And I said, I have to think like that every time I'm in that situation. This is my job to lose. I'm going in a winner.
Right.
And she was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
I like that. I like that. Stay hungry. So it's just funny, we hear these things that our parents have said to us and how they are ingrained forever. So just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's up, and that's true, because if you remember, I was applying for another job and I needed help with my interview, and you volunteered to help me out.
I did.
And we were going through the interview, and I was doing the presentation, and you gave me a lot of pointers, and I was very excited. I was ready to go. I had my heart pumped up and confident. I felt like I was as ready as I'll ever be, right? And I went through and I got through 3 of the levels of interviews, and I went on vacation. I was like, got it. No matter what, they're going to give me a call within a few days. I'm going to have this new job when I get back from vacation. I'm going to, start something fresh and new. Midway through my vacation, I got the call, and they said, well, you did good and everything, but you didn't get the job. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for that. No, I was like, oh man, I was, it kind of deflated my whole ego for a couple of days. I was upset, because I did feel like I did have the experience and everything. They didn't really give me the feedback that I was looking for, but I did feel like they missed out on the opportunity to have somebody that would be beneficial to their business. So it took a few days for me to reflect. I was still on vacation with the kids. We came back, and I had to regroup myself because I was checked out of that job I was at already. But I managed to kind of refuel myself and then get a new goal, new perspective, and then that's kind of where I grew to accomplish the things that I'm doing right now. So even though I wasn't ready to hear that no, it kind of helped me understand, where I really wanted to be at anyway. So, but that's funny that you say that about, are you ready to hear, what if they say no? Because you do go in with confidence, and you have to go in with confidence. But yeah, I mean, that feedback is it's a whole nother thing, especially if you feel you got it. So yeah, it definitely important lesson, something that you always continuously learn through life. So from here, what we usually do, I ask if there's anything that you can go back and tell your younger self. It can be at any time in your life. If there's anything that you feel that you could have said to the younger self that would have, probably changed your perspective a little bit sooner, or gave you those choice of words that you needed at that time, what would that be?
I would say to my younger self 3 things. First thing, listen to your parents and your grandparents. There's some nuggets that they drop that really,
right.
when you're young, you're like, that's just old people talk, right? It has no merit. And then you become that older person, that wiser person. And you're like, you know what? God dang it, it makes sense. That's what she meant by that. That's why she said stay hungry. Because who knew? When I got a little comfortable, then some things started happening. And I had to stay hungry. I had to leave that job at Meharry because there was a point where it was like, ooh, it was toxic. So I had to go. Excuse me. I had to go. But I stayed hungry and I never went without. One job, next job. Let's go. So listen to your parents. Sometimes we don't agree with them, but there's some knowledge there. There's some knowledge to be gained. And you might not see it when you're young, but later on, it starts to make sense because you're like, now I'm them. Now I can see what they're saying, what they said to me. Now it makes sense. So that's number 1. Number 2. Always believe in yourself. Always believe in yourself. If you may not be getting that support from this side, that side, family, friends, family, friends, whomever, believe in yourself. Because if you believe in yourself, I feel like there's nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't accomplish if you believe in yourself. And by believing in yourself, I'm saying have that confidence. Have that self-confidence that, hey, it's my job to lose. Be confident in everything that you do. And the third thing that I would tell myself is to always, anything that you put your name on, always stamp it with excellence. Always. So listen to your parents, especially when they're dropping those gems. 2, always be confident, believe in yourself and have that self-confidence that I can do anything. I can do all things, right? That's a song my little nephew used to sing. It's like a spiritual song, like a gospel song for kids. How many things can you do? All things, right? That's number 2.
Okay. Yep.
And then number 3,
that's what's
right?
Up. Yep.
Always, anything that has your name on it, always stamp it with excellence. And those 3 things, if I had, I had those things, but I couldn't quite articulate those things as a young person. But 46-year-old me, if now, I can use all these $1 million words, right? I would tell, little V Brown, hey, number 1, number 2, number 3. So those are the things. That's the advice that I would give myself at 5 years old.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. Those are very important. I'm gonna have to write those down for myself. So it's definitely good to hear your story. Very well structured. And I can definitely see how a lot of your surroundings, like you said, it takes a village, has helped you. Just continue on the path that you're going on, and I can tell that you're not done. That you're continuing to look for avenues, to accomplish a lot of things for the community. So definitely hats off to you for sure.
Thank you.
Is there anything, any last thoughts that you wanted to share with the audience at all?
Not really.
We shared quite a bit.
I know we did. I think I covered it all. again, for the young people listening,
Yeah.
Regardless of your situation doesn't define who you are, and it doesn't define your destiny. Again, like I said, you can do anything you want to do if you believe in yourself, and you just, you have that gumption to say, hey, this is what I want to do. Because I feel like there's nothing that I can't accomplish. Like, I'm not a plumber, but like, I've taught myself how to fix my grandmother's sink. So believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to accept constructive feedback, because there are people who've been there before that can help you. Like, for me, I feel like I'm smart, but I think what makes me smart is that I'm not afraid to utilize my resources and to tap into people who might be smarter than me. I'm okay with that.
Go.
Hey, how can you help me? How can we help each other? Right? So, yeah, that's what I would leave you all with. Just believe in yourself, have that confidence, and be excellent. I'm a professor all day long, and I have sometimes students that give me stuff that is not quite excellent, and some that are that do.
Yep.
And I have to fuss a little bit. Hey, do you think this was excellent? Maybe not. Okay, let's do it again. So, be excellent, be confident, know that you can do it, never give up.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And I appreciate that. You guys heard that. Be excellent. Don't give up. A lot of strong words there for sure. And I just want to once again appreciate, and say thank you for coming on the show and sharing all that with us, because I think that everything that you talked about today is exactly what we're looking for and exactly what we're trying to accomplish with this, with this series. So once again, I do appreciate that. And to the audience, if you guys like what you heard, go ahead and leave us a comment, reach out to us, ask any follow-up questions you like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast streaming services. Once again, this is your boy, Billy Wayne with Legacy United, and Dr. Vanisha Lockett Brown signing out for the day. Thank you guys. Have a good one.